Okay, good morning, good afternoon. I'm not sure what time you're watching this. So welcome to the Bendigo Tech School. Now I'm actually recording this from the tech school, and you're watching it now. So it's not live, but what we wanted to do was actually show you something a little bit different. As your PD today, it's not only on AR but also on ways to kind of deliver content to students. I thought I would use a platform that we used quite a lot here, especially during when we were doing a lot of homeschooling, home teaching. Where we would use a platform called YouTube live streaming. So YouTube was really handy for this, mainly because it's a platform that anyone can access. So I'm sure a lot of you were working with things like, you don't need to see this going down now, I'm just getting that there. I'm sure a lot of you were working with platforms like WebEx or Zoom or whatever or Cisco, even whatever your schools had. And sometimes, with those kind of platforms, they can be tricky for students to use because they require software, they require hardware. So with the tech school, we went with the YouTube route because YouTube is available pretty much anywhere. You don't need special software; you just need the internet, right? You don't even really need a device. There are so many devices out there that can play YouTube fridges. You've got phones, iPads, the web everywhere. So that was a really, really handy platform for us to use. Anyone could access it. Students could access it really, really easily. It was also very private too because we made little private sessions, so that it wasn't available for everyone to see. Students could chat there too. But just that ease of access for students was why we chose it. Basically, here's the link, click it, away you go. The other thing I like about YouTube live streaming as well is that it's a platform that they know, right? Like your students use YouTube all the time. So, we can kind of we would fit our programs in kind of like with their cat videos. We're something that they're used to seeing on YouTube, but just a different face. So we found we had super high engagement using that. So as you'll see, hopefully this is all working well because I'm going to record this and upload it and make what's called a premiere, which means it is on YouTube, but it launches at a certain date. So if you click this link before this date and time, you would have seen that you could, put a bookmark there. You could see when the video is going to premiere. There's a little countdown timer. You can make a reminder, and you can also chat. So on this side, I don't know how to work. On the side, there's a chat there as well. So you can chat amongst yourselves. You can chat with me. Now, if this was live, I could obviously answer your chat. But because I'm recording this before your session, just so there's no technical issue, I'll see that chat later because it saves the chat too. So as the video is recording, it'll save that chat. Now, you're probably hearing some music because that's this RoboMaster thing. I'm going to actually just quit that for now, and I'll bring that back up later. So you can also kind of have that chat going there, and that chat saved as the video kind of goes through. The other good thing with live streaming over YouTube's platform is it kind of is like having a DVR. So if you come in 20 minutes late, you can still kind of watch it from the start because all of that is there. It's all kind of buffed on YouTube. Or if you come in, early, you can wait for it. It's also saved too, so you can watch this video back at a later date. And you can see the chat and you can engage as well. You can still send me a message and I can help you out there. So this is a private link, so no one else is going to be in this session other than the people that booked this session. So feel free to chat away on the side there, and I'll go for this chat in the afternoon after the session is done. So, like I said, I am Daniel. I'm from the tech school, so the Bendigo Tech School up here in Bendigo, off Latrobe's campus. Now, you may have been to a tech school before. There are 10 of us around Victoria. So for those of you that have been to a tech school, you'll know that it's a free place to come. It doesn't cost you anything, and it's just crammed with the latest in technology, but also I guess the learning as well. So we're here to help students and teachers learn how to kind of use tech in their classrooms. And of course, I've had a lot of art classes. Now, some of you may have seen me before. I was at the NGV a few years ago. I mean, that's how I found out about tech schools actually. So a lovely place to work. So if you've seen me, hello. But what I thought I would do is, before we start the AR session, now I know we've only got an hour, before we start the AR session, I thought I would give you a tour of our tech school. But because I like to do things differently, we're going to have a bit of a different kind of tour. So I'm just going to go in here and type RoboMaster again. And what I'm going to do is, now, I'm going to give you a tour with this guy, okay? It might be hard to see on that little camera view down there, but this is called a RoboMaster. It's quite a heavy educational robot. You have to put these together. Matt's actually putting it together as we speak. So it takes about a day to put one of these guys together. They're pretty complex. But this is really good for coding. We use this for coding and getting students to kind of problem solve with these things. We have a program that's based around this around rescue, actually, and how this can actually, rescue people in a certain dangerous situations. It's got sensors all around the side. These little kind of glowing panels here will detect, the force of where it's hit. It's got these really cool wheels, which they don't actually turn, but the way these wheels work, it can actually go back and forth. It's pretty awesome. I'm just going to put that cover down. They've got cameras all over the place. Got a camera at the front, camera on the sides. But it's a pretty cool tool. Now I'm going to use this to just show you around the tech school. So I'm going to put it on the floor. This is probably a bit of an orthodox way to do this, but like I said, it's a bit of fun for the start of the day. So I'm just going to kind of move this out of the way. I'm going to jump back into here. Whoop. Kind of tricky to control all these things at once. Now, I thought I wouldn't use anything too fancy today. I was going to get real fancy, other than the robot, and have a whole bunch of multi-windows and stuff. But I really wanted to run this session how you would use AR back in your kind of classroom as well. So I didn't want to go too crazy. So I'm just going to go into solo mode down here. And I'm just going to give it a tour. There we go. So there's the tech school. Now I'm controlling the camera here with the mouse. So you're going to get a view of our tech school from the floor. Now I'm going to take him for a drive. Now let me see if I can remember how to drive him. I think I can use a WAS. There we go. All right, so we're back in the makerspace. There I am. Hello. I'll wave. There I am there. So you can see my amazing fashion sense with my shoes and my socks and my pants. Ingrid will say something about that, I'm sure. But let's go for a drive. Now there's no students today, obviously. So I'm just going to drive through here. I'm not going to go too fast. Well, I should probably look at this screen, not my robot. Off he goes. He's driving a bit slow. There we go. I'll drive around. I'll keep him slow so you can see what's going on. So we're driving around in the back here, in this back makerspace. This is where students do. I'll turn around so you can see. This back makerspace here, you see a bunch of tools back here. This is where students can really get hands-on and create things, which is kind of cool. So very open plan. There are bins. All right, let's kind of move forward a little bit. I'm going to just drive nice and slowly. All right, here we go. Down here we have lots of open plan spaces, a ladder. But you can see the whole building is very open plan. You can see that we've got everything exposed as well. We really wanted students to see kind of like how the place is built and what puts it together. So I'm slowly driving through here. I might stop here and go to the left. So over here, this is the Hoogie Lounge, which Graham's on here. So it's Swedish or Dutch. It's you Google it. But this is kind of like a relaxing place where students can kind of like just hang out. Because obviously we have a lot of tech going on here, so it's nice for them just to kind of relax. Over here, we have our green screen, or a cyclorama, as it's known, and a pretty good one too. I think it's one of the best ones in the Western region. So we've got a full lighting array down there as well. I'll keep driving through. This is another kind of open plan space here where students can work as well. Everything we can kind of move around. I'm just driving pretty slow actually. There's my, I'm going to drive sideways. There's our cyclorama space. All right. Now I'm quite far away from where I started recording, so hopefully I can talk about. In there's a media center and a media lab, so we've got full media production facilities down there for students to kind of create and edit and film and do all those kind of fun things. They have access to that room. You'll see that we don't really have any desktops in terms of computers. All of our stuff is laptop based, which means they can kind of move around wherever they like. All right, let's keep going through here. I'm just going to go into here, and I might just see if I can control him. I'm gonna pump the speed up a little bit. All right, there we go. Let's just go fast. All right, done. I'm gonna head back now. Now, hopefully, I don't go too fast. There we go. All right, now we've got some speed, so I can speed through this. So there's the open plan working spaces. As we go down here, oh, that's some speed now. Down here, there's Matt. Hi, Matt. We have our 3D printers. Again, I'm hoping you're not getting too jealous. We don't have one, but we have many. There's all of our 3D printers down there for students. Officers down there. Oh, there's, hello, someone fixing our machines. Down in here, this little guy is a CNC machine for producing some pretty huge furniture. Back in there, we have my manufacturing place. That's the offices. All right, I'll speed through. Now, I know I'm using up too much of my time for here, but this is a good thing with this live stream, right? You can jump forward. If you go out, I'm sick of seeing the tech school. We'll go through here. The door is shut. Unfortunately, my robots can't open the door, but in there we have laser cutters. And then down the front down here, some more equipment. Always lots of equipment down here. In this kind of room here, it's a bit dark because the lights are off. But in here, we have this awesome turntable, but another kind of open plan place for students to learn. And there's our front doors. So there you go. There's the tech school. I'm going to drive back now, back to me, and we'll get back to our program. So I just wanted to give you a quick little look around the place while I had you, and I thought I would do it a little bit differently. Didn't have to walk. Actually, I'll show you over here. Ooh, bump over here. So out here, just speaking of cool things, out here we have what's called a farm bot. So you can see the solar panels down there, and that is an automated farming system. So we're going to have some plants and some food in there, and that's going to be very, very nice. All right, let's head back. All right, I'm just going to drive back to me. I'll turn this off, and then we'll get into our program for today. So I'll scoot through here. It's actually really fun to drive. Scoot through here. All right, here I go. There's part of Latrobe. We're pretty much in the middle of Latrobe. You'll see us from the front if you're in Bendigo, but we're kind of surrounded by the university, which is really good for students. Okay, he's coming up to me. I can see him now. I'm just going to drive in. I don't know why I call it a him. It's like all dogs are boys and all girls are cats. All right, and there we go there. So I'm just going to pick it up and turn him off. All right, so I'll just, wait, you don't want to see that, do you? I'm just going to turn him off now. I'll lift up the back and turn him off. And he should shut down for me now. And I'll get out of there. Do I want to exit? Yes. Alrighty, so let me get back. I'm just going to close this program down, exit that. All right, so let's head back into what we're doing today. Everything's recording okay. I just always going to make sure everything's working. All right, so what we're doing today is we are looking at AR. Now I'm just going to switch back onto my Wi-Fi. There we go, because I connected to the robot. So with AR, it's augmented reality. Now what I have up on the screen here is one of the teacher PDs we have on AR that we do here at the tech school. So as well as students, we also have teachers that come in here. Again, it's all free, and we'll provide PD for teachers on our programs. So hopefully you're seeing all of that now. But as I kind of scroll down here, this is kind of the stuff that we'll do. So this is the session. I might even share these with you as well, so you can kind of look at the session that we've done. But AR, as I kind of scroll up here, there are probably two main R's, right? There's AR and there's VR. So just to kind of clarify what we're doing. So VR is virtual reality, which we do here as well. I just kind of drove past that area. But virtual reality is exactly that. It's virtual. Okay, so everything needs to be created for VR. Now we have a lot of VR headsets. We have Oculus Rift, we have the HTC Vive, and we use a program called Unreal for students to kind of create those VR worlds. But it's super time consuming because you have to make everything. It takes a lot of time. So you may have some students using VR in some of their folios, maybe this year, maybe last year. But it's definitely a platform that students can access and use now. So the tools to create VR worlds are free, the software, but of course it's a fairly heavy hardware requirement. You need a pretty beefy computer, you need that headset. So that's your VR. Now AR is augmented reality. Okay, so augmented means you have your actual reality around you, but we augment it, we add to it. Okay, so I use Pokemon Go because I think it's one of those ones which most people know, right? Like that's an example of AR where you can walk around your neighborhood. You can have your camera on, you can see some Pokemon jumping in front of you, but you're seeing your actual neighborhood. So it's visually using those augmented skills. It's also using the GPS, the camera. So AR doesn't just have to be a visual thing. It can be anything that changes that reality a little bit. So for instance, another simple example would be like something like headphones. If you've used anything like, say, the AirPods, where they have a system of a system of microphones on them that allow you by tapping them to increase the sound on the outside so you can kind of hear clearer. Again, that's augmenting your reality, right? It's not a visual thing, it's an audio thing. So don't think of AR as just a visual. It can be a lot of things as well, but we're going to look at the visual side of things. So that is AR. And that's what we're going to look at today. Another really good example of AR is like the industry uses that you'll see as well. And I might show you a demo a little bit later where you can you test AR out right now using your phone and using Google search. Essentially, they have AR built into it. So that's something I'll talk about in a second. So that's what we're going to be doing today. And we're also going to be talking about how your students could use AR in their folios, really. So, for instance, you might have a student that's presenting their folio of work. How do they use AR to build upon that? So the easiest kind of thing to kind of get you thinking about how it could work and what we've done before is, let's say something like, the students created an artwork. They've done a painting, a traditional painting, but they want to show you all of the developmental work. Now, in a folio, they could have pages and pages and pages of that, which you have to kind of cycle through, or they could augment their painting. So what they could do is you could put your phone over their painting. The phone will recognize that painting and know what it is, and then overlay it. You might start to see all of these different things appearing. You might start to see, their developmental drawings. You might actually have that painting come alive. So not just developmental work, but they might actually have augmented reality as part of the actual artwork, right? So instead of having a still painting, the painting starts to move and animate and those kind of things as well. And I did an example for the NGV when we were talking about this, where I had The Great Wave by Hokusai, and then I actually made an animated version of that and then overlaid that over the wave, and you can see it moving. And I might bring that little project up a little bit later to show you that as well. So that's what AR is. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch across to my phone so I can hopefully show you a quick example while I'm in here as well. So I'm just going to kind of turn my phone onto do not disturb so I don't get any messages. All right, I'm going to get out of there. And where is do not disturb? There it is. Okay. All right. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my phone up on the screen here as well. So here's my phone, just using my standard phone here. I'm going to bring my phone up on the screen so you can kind of see what I'm connecting to here as well. So I'm just going to connect here. All right. And I'm going to bring this in here. Now what I'm going to do is scan this special code. So if you haven't used this kind of software before, this is called Air Server. It allows any device, be it an iOS device like an iPad or a phone or an Android device, it allows you to wirelessly share that to another screen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my phone to my laptop screen. So this is really handy for schools and classes. Say you've got a laptop that you don't have there, okay? you don't have an Apple TV or something like that, and your students, there we go, your students all have iPads. I'll turn it off and turn it on. Yep, all works fine. There we go. Your students have iPads or have some kind of device, and you've only got your projector in your classroom, and you've got your laptop connected. With this piece of software, your students can connect to your laptop, and then you can be displaying it on the screen as well. So it's really handy, and you can also show multiple screens at once. So I'm just connecting my screen here, but you might have 5 or 6 iPads, and they're all kind of showing up here as well. So there we go. That's what I mean by AirSetter. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hopefully show you how this works. So ignore all my apps. I'm just going to go in here, and I'm going to go a new incognito tab, so you can see where I'm doing nothing here. And I'm just going to go to Google. All right. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to search for a tiger. Oops, I'm going to spell tiger correctly first. Tiger. Okay, so I just want to show you how AR works. Here we go. So now as I scroll down, you can see I've just used my phone. What we have down here, you'll see it says View in 3D. So Google are really using AR quite a lot now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap on that button, View in 3D. And this is going to load. All right, so here it goes. All right, so now you can see here is the tech school. I'm going to find an area. There we go. Whoa, there we go. And there's my tiger. I'm going to actually have to move back because it's quite big. So as I move back, there we go. So there is a tiger. And there's the perfect example of AR. So there's a tiger that's now sitting in the tech school, okay? And so you'll see it's to scale. You'll see it's got the shadow down there, which is wicked cool, right? Like you can actually see shadow. And so, oh, it's good. So what Google have done is they've built and modeled all of these animals. There's hundreds of them. I dare you to try and find them all. And what they're trying to do now is actually show me the scales. This is correct of this line. Wow, it's pretty big. You can see the scale of it. But have a look here. This is where it starts to get really cool. So if you can see now, I've put the tiger, he's now in front of that table, all right? So the AR knows that that table is there, and it knows what the tiger should, occlude, basically. Now, the other thing where it gets really cool, it does it pretty good. Watch this. Now, see my hand? My hand is in front of the tiger, all right? Now, you can see a bit of shimmering there. It's not perfect, but what it's trying to do is it's trying to go, well, your hand is in front of the tiger, therefore I shouldn't be overlaying that content of the tiger, okay? Well, that's pretty cool, and that's where AR has come a long way. So if I pull back a little bit, I'm doing this. You can see I'm in front of the tiger's behind me, but my hand is getting basically placed in front of it and it's chopping it out. So it's not perfect, but again, this is free, right? This is just done on my phone. There we go, and we'll zoom out. So I'm sure a lot of you are going, wow, that's pretty cool, because it is pretty cool. I love that. So I'll go back to my phone. My son loves this as well, right? Like he loves being able to kind of look up all of these animals. Let's get out of there. Look up all these animals and then see what they look like in your house. So let's go to, I don't know, I'm going to go back to, let's try an elephant. I'm sure they have that. Let's have a look. We'll scroll down. Oh, we don't have elephant in 3D. They haven't done that yet. Let's try something else. There's a bunch of them. Let's go panda. Panda. Oh, there's panda. All right, let's look at the panda. So I'm going to tap on View in 3D. So obviously, like any kind of content here, someone has to create it, right? Someone has to create the panda. Someone has to build the panda. Someone has to animate the panda. I'll move my phone to start. So why it wanted me to move my phone, there we go. And there's a panda. And that's what they look like. Just sitting there. So why it wanted me to move my phone. So AR uses the things like the gyroscope, the GPS, those kind of things in your phone to basically place itself in the reality. So it wanted to know where I was. It wanted to know where the floor was. And it did that by that quick scan. Again, that's so cool. Put your hand on it. It scanned the floor. It scans the walls. It does all those kind of things as well. So it can kind of place it in reality. So there we go there. So that's a cool example of AR. I'm just going to get out of that. And I'm just going to kind of minimize my screen now. So that's an example of AR. A really good example, I think, too. One that you can show your students. But like we said, you have to kind of create that content. All right. Now I'm looking at my timer. Ingrid will, of course, tell you that I do talk very, very fast. So another good thing with this video is you can play it back later at half speed, if that makes it easier. You might hear my fans on my computer spinning up as well. Mainly, I'm just using my laptop, but I'm doing quite a lot of stuff here with AR and the phone and those kind of things and recording. So there might be a bit of fan noise as my computer doesn't want to melt down. And it's also a very hot day today. I think it's like the 39-degree day today here in Bendigo. So how do you create this stuff? And what are you going to do? So I'm going to jump all the way down here to the challenge that I want you to do today. Okay. Now, I'm not going to use some of the talk that we use here at the tech school. We do a thing called design thinking, which some of you have probably heard of. I'm not going to worry about using that kind of terminology today, though it is in these slides here. I'm just going to pump my audio up just a little bit. All right, there we go. So that should be a bit better. Okay. So what we're going to do is we are going to create this AR business card. Okay. I thought that might be a good little, actually, I think my audio might be a bit too loud. I'll turn it down. I think that might be a good challenge for you today, okay? Something to try out over the break or potentially, tonight to make a business card that has augmented reality in it, nice and easy, okay? You can do things like maybe it's your your school business card, and when you scan that card, you can have extra details that come up. So you can see my little example here. I'm living a little bit fancy there. I've got my logo. You'll also see I've got some buttons down there because you can interact with the AR. You can tap on those buttons and see other content. The examples for something like this with students, for instance, they might have their business card, and when you tap on that, if they're a photographer, their whole folio of photography appears, and you can kind of see it in that space around you. So that's the challenge we're going to give you today. That's the job I'm going to get you today, is to make an AR business card. Nice and simple, but it's something to try. Now, I'm going to kind of show you how to create this by going through the process. I thought that would be the easiest way. Instead of me telling you what to do, I'm going to go through and do this myself right now so you can see how I'm doing it. So feel free to kind of go along with me if you like, but it's probably better just to kind of watch and take some of this in and then have a go at it separately. Now, when it comes to AR, here we go, you do need a platform. So I'm just going to go in. All right, Zap AR. So in terms of AR, you do require a platform to kind of create the AR content and to host it as well. Because how AR works is when I kind of scanned, if I scan something and I want something to appear, or with that tiger, for instance, that appeared, that information is stored somewhere else. It's not stored on your phone, right? So what happens is a platform has to have that 3D object stored, and when I access it, it downloads it to your phone and then it displays it. Okay, so you do need to be online for AR to work in most cases, unless it's like a standalone app or a program. And so you need a platform to do your hosting. There are quite a few of them out there. We at the Tech School use Zap AR. I find it's the easiest, it's the most user-friendly, especially for students as well. And it's free to a degree. It's free if students want to kind of create, I think you can create maybe 3 AR projects. So if you wanted to create more than 3, you got to delete an old one, but it doesn't cost any money. But they also have student licenses and those kind of things as well. So if you wanted to use it for school, you can get a teacher license. I think it costs us like a couple of dollars for a student license, and they can have that all year. So it's not a huge expense. But I use Zap AR. That's where I create the content. That's where I host the content. And so that's what I'm going to use today. Okay, so Zap AR is what we're using, and give that a go. If you want to have kind of a bit more of a play with this, again, feel free to contact me as well. I'll make sure my details are where you're watching this. So I'm just going to close that down, and I'm going to jump into projects. So like I said, I'm going to create this project. I'm looking at my timer. I'm going to create a new business card project as we go, so you can kind of see how easy it is to work. So down here, I have a lot of projects. I think one of these, do I have the, I'll see if I can find the NGV project. Oh, I wonder if I have that here, and maybe I got rid of it. So let's have a look. AR test. Oh, maybe it was AR test. Let me just open that up. But I'm going to create a new one anyway. I just wanted to see if I still had that one saved from the NGV. I'll let that go away. Let's go into manage. All right. So anyway, let's head back. I'm going to go back into my projects. All right, so once you're here, I'm going to hit a new project. Okay, so I'm going to create a new project. And it's giving me a project type. There are 3 things here. There's Studio, Designer, and then there's Universal. Okay, so these are kind of like, I guess, 3 levels of how hard you want this project to be. Or there's all widgets as well. So with widgets, we'll just look at these 3 here. With widgets, it's a really, really simple way to create some basic AR. It's like drag and drop. Okay, so essentially you get a bunch of buttons, you drag those into where you want them to appear in your virtual space, and they'll do something. Okay, I'm not going to do that, but we have Designer and Studio. I'm going to use Designer today, and that's what I recommend you use, and also what your students probably use as well, because you can use Designer from having 0 skill or knowledge of this. By using Designer, you can have some pretty basic AR stuff and some really complex stuff too if you put some time into it. It's all drag and drop, and it's all web-based as well, so no programs are needed, just a computer and just the internet. So that's Designer. Studio this would be more for your students if they were really wanted to make an AR project, like they wanted to actually make an AR artwork. That's where you can do 3D animation, you can do 3D modeling, all that kind of stuff as well. It's all in Studio here. Okay, so it's a free program again. You can download that. You can build an entire kind of AR game or even a movie or a project. So that's down there. But I'm going to use Designer. I'm going to click on Designer. I keep having my face in the way here. I'll scroll down and I'll hit Next. Okay, now let me explain this. This is probably the other most important part about AR. Okay, so you'll notice with that tiger example I showed you at the start, I basically clicked on tiger and I've said to view it in 3D, and then it asked me, where I am in the space, and then it plonked the tiger down because it used the cameras, it used my space, it kind of knew where I was, and it plonked it down there. Okay, what a lot of AR projects do, and what we're going to use here, is this is going to use what's called a trigger. Now, a trigger, think of it like a barcode. Now, this is really important, especially for students when they want to use it for their work. So you have a trigger is the thing that once your phone sees that trigger in actual reality, it knows where it is and it will place the content on that trigger. It kind of anchors it in the space. Okay, so an easy way to kind of visualize that is the trigger doesn't necessarily have to be a barcode, by the way. It doesn't have to be ones and zeros. A trigger could actually be a picture, all right? So I could make the trigger a painting. So think about the NGV. I could choose one of the paintings there. Let's say, I don't know, I'll choose the Warhol, right? The self-portrait. Now, I could use that as a trigger, okay? And so once my phone sees that painting, the painting acts like a barcode, and it knows where it is. It knows it's on the wall. It knows how to kind of rotate around it. But it also knows what content is linked to that barcode, so it's quite unique because you don't want to be having anyone's kind of AR content just appear on that image. Okay, so it kind of connects the two together. So this tracker will download this content from the internet and it will link those two together, and that's kind of really important. And that's how trackers work. So the options you have here, ignore the bottom one, unless we all have $8,000 we can spend. What you have here is two options for this. We have a Zap code and we have a web QR code. Okay, so the difference between these two is one asks you to use the app. Okay, so there's a free app, and I'll use that app. Excuse me, I talk a lot. You use that app to scan the content and it appears. Or a QR code, a web QR code, means you don't need an app at all. So it actually has a special code where it will launch the AR content within the browser on your phone or your mobile device or anything without needing any app at all. So they both basically have pros and cons. I kind of like the app version here is handy because if you've got the app and it's faster and quicker, it's there. The web version obviously means you don't need the app at all. So if you're using it for a folio or something like that, the student doesn't have to put a note saying, please download this free app to view my AR content. They can just say, scan this content and you'll see it. Okay. For the sake of this demo today, I'm going to use the app just so I can show you the app as well. But it does work pretty much the same. You scan that content and away you go. So I'm going to choose Zap code and I'm going to choose create project. Now I'm also guessing, hopefully my video recording software is not recording me down here in the corner, but just in case, I might move it up there. Okay, so here we go here, and now we have our little triggers. Okay, so this is like that barcode I was telling you about. So wherever you place this is where it's going to appear, and that content is going to appear there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to download this little trigger here as a PNG. You can do it as a JPEG as well. There it is there. All right, I'm going to open up Designer. Okay. So now what it's saying here is we need to actually have that tracking image. We need to place that tracking image as the background. Okay, so I've downloaded my Zap code. So what I'm going to do is I'll just tap it again here. I can see it. You can choose a different kind of Zap code. So I'm just going to have some water. This is where I could pause my recording, but I don't know, make it feel live. All right. So now I'm going to have my Zap code here. I'm going to move this out of the way. I'll download the PNG. So that's down there. Okay, I'm just going to continue it here. All right, so now I've got that little code. What it's saying here is place that code on the image somewhere. Okay, and what this does is it just kind of makes it a lot faster to find that image. So let's just say you used an image of, just looking around here, like a painting or something like that. If the image is quite generic, it's going to make it a lot tougher for it to kind of match up that image with the content you want it to display. So having this code makes it quicker. So I've downloaded the code. It's just down there. I'm just going to go into Photoshop. You don't have to use Photoshop if you don't have it, of course. You can just use any art program. And what I want to do is I just want to put this barcode, this unique tracker, which you'll see here. I'm just going to put this on a business card I'm going to make right now. Okay, so I'm going to make a quick business card in Photoshop, and I'm going to use that icon to show you what I mean. So I'm going to go down here. Sorry, lots of pictures of my family. New. And I'm just going to do, 1,000 by 1,000. Okay. So here, I've just got a square. Now I'm going to use this as my business card, okay? So I'm going to use this as my tracker. So this would be the thing that you're going to print off if it's going to be your business card, all right? Oh, the lights have turned off because I haven't moved for a while. The lights have turned off. So let me just turn them back on. I'm going to walk around here. All right, hopefully the lights will turn back on again. Let me just keep going. All right. There we go, sorry. All right, lights are back. Okay, so this is going to be my business card. So first things first, we want to put that little QR code, that little My New Project. I want to put that in here somewhere. It doesn't need to be that big. I'm going to bring it all the way down and I'm going to put it over there. Okay, so my code's in there as well. So now I'm going to make my business card. It's going to be the easiest business card in the world. All right, let's go down here and I'm going to say Daniel, that's all I name, Daniel Garcia. There we go. I'll move that over here. I'll just enlarge that. All right, we'll plonk that there. And then I'll just kind of move that. And I will say I don't know, what will I say? It's just a business card, right? Important person. Okay, there we go. That's my business card. It's pretty clever. Again, I've spelt person wrong. Important person. There we go. I'm using a computer I'm not used to using, so my typing is not great. All right, there we go. There's my business card. And I better, for good measure, I better do an artwork because this is the NGV. I better show how amazing I am as an artist. So I'll just go across here. Okay. And I'll do a bit of an amazing artwork. Let's go down here. All right. Let's increase that so you can actually see it. There we go. And there is my artwork. Daniel, amazing person. Okay, so there's my business card. It's pretty impressive. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this business card. Okay. Now again, if you're thinking about your students' folios, maybe this is a page in their folio. They don't need to have this content. Maybe they just have that code. So that code is what is important. Okay. They might place this code next to a piece of work they want to show more information on, and that's all they need to do. The second that code is scanned, the content will appear around it. So I'm just going to use this as my example because you're making a business card. All right. File. I'm just going to export. All right. I'm just going to save this image. I don't need to be too big. I'll just make it medium's fine. Save that, and I'll just type it on the desktop. There we go. So now I have my business card. This is the card that I'm going to print out. Okay, so I'm going to print this card out, and this is the card I'm going to hand to people, all right, so they can have my business card, and I'm going to encourage them to scan it. So you're going to see how this is going to work. So I'll jump back into here. All right, jump across. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload that tracking image. So go to upload here. There it is there. And now it's going to upload that business card. Okay. And so that is analyzing it. It's seeing the document. It's kind of like scanning it and almost turning it into a barcode. Okay. And it's going to give me some information. All right. So you can see here, as it scanned that barcode or that image, it said what is basically good detail. Okay. It's found the Zap code. That's great. Poor means, there's no detail there. And so what I was saying before is the more detail you have on this, this tracker, the quicker it can attach the two things together. Because you've got to imagine there are billions of AR contents floating around in the world. There are billions of images. It needs to know this image requires this AR content to see it and then put those two together. And you want it to be fast because the longer that takes, the longer the person's kind of holding their phone and going, oh, nothing's happening. So you want it to almost be seamless. So there's my tracking image. Now I'm going to start using it. Okay. So hopefully so far you can see how quick and easy this is. Now, here we are here. So now you can see in the background is that image. Now I made it white, so you can't really see the borders, but basically we have my business card there. And it's put it there so I can kind of see where I'm going to start to place stuff in this augmented world. So you can kind of see it appear. Excuse me. Because what you place in front of this and where you place it is how it's going to appear in reality when you see it, if that makes any sense. So down the side here, you can see here we have a bunch of little buttons. And this is how easy this is to work. And wherever I place this content over here is where it's going to appear. So let me do something pretty simple. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to add some text here. So just click on that, and here's my text. Okay, so I'm just going to select that text so you can see it. All right, where's my mousey? There we go. So now I've got that text. Now it's a bit laggy because I've got, there we go. I've got a few things running. So there's my text. Now wherever I place that text is where it's going to appear when I scan my business card. That text is going to appear in front of it. So if I moved it over here, for instance, all right, off to the side, and I might even just scale that down. Okay, when I hold my business card in my hands, it will appear basically floating in space off the side of that business card. It'll kind of appear over here. Okay, because that's where I've placed it. That's where I've placed this business card. And if I turned my business card, so I might, once I finish this session, I'll actually print this off and show you. If I turn my business card around, you'll actually see that text turn in real time in that virtual space. You'll see it float around it as well, which is kind of cool. If I walked around it, you would see I'd be able to walk around that text. So it's anchored it to this point. Okay, so there's some text there. If we scroll down here, you can see whenever you add something, it gives you some properties of what to see there as well. So where it says insert text here, I can say, please call me on da-da-da-da-da, right? So I actually don't have that on my business card, but if you scan the card, you can see my phone number, okay? Or I can actually do things by adding contact information here as well because it's on my phone. But anyway, so that's going to appear there, okay? I'm also going to add, let's go into an image. Nice and simple. I'll add an image here, Okay. Now we can see that there's a few images here from some previous stuff that we've done. I might just look. I'll just add that image because it's there. All right. So now I have this image. Now this image is also going to appear on my business card, and it's going to float in front of it. Now that's my business card there, so you can see how small this image will be in relation to that business card. So I can place that over there. So this is going to be a disgusting AR experience, but I just want to show you how it works. I can also add in sound if I wanted to. So when I scan something, some audio appears. Probably another really good one for folios, right? Because you don't really have folios that can play sound if it's a paper folio, but maybe part of their visual experience, right, was they wanted you to have some audio while you were watching or looking at their painting. So if you scan their painting, this music will start to play on your phone, right, and kind of puts you in that mood. So again, there's all these options. Hopefully you're starting to think about all these options that your students could start doing by using this content, right, by just adding these extra experiences. I think that's the best way to look at AR. You're adding to the content that is there. You're adding to the physical drawing or paper or folio. What other things can you add to that to kind of, increase that experience? So there we go. The other thing you've got, I'll show you this one, is you have these things called scenes. Now, hopefully, when you're looking at this, you're going, it's kind of like PowerPoint, right? Because it kind of is. So AR is pretty much like PowerPoint. You create these, slides or scenes that appear, except they appear in front of you. They appear on top of, the object that you want to scan, and you can interact with them. All right, that's the only difference. So where I've got here scene 1, what this means is when I scan my business card for the first time, what we're going to see is this is going to appear and this is going to appear. Now, they don't just have to appear as well. If you go down here, you can see I've got these things called transitions and actions. So I'm going to say transition. I'm going to say fade in. So now what's going to happen is it's not just going to appear, it's going to fade in when I scan it. I can say how long to fade in for and how much of a delay, or I can say drop in, slide. We'll say slide in from the right, so we'll see it appear. So again, just like PowerPoint, you can add these kind of actions or animations to all of the things that you add in here as well. And I can do that with anything. With my text here, I could add an action on that as well. So the text just doesn't appear, it'll actually kind of transition in. We'll say, we'll give that one a fade in. And then with your actions, you can say, well, when I tap this, when I actually interact with that, what do I want to happen? Okay, you can see here I can get it to do a bunch of things as well. File, uploads, link to, go to a scene. I'll explain that as well. So again, if a student uses this in their folio, they might have some things appear on the side. So again, they've scanned their painting, and on the side of that, they have these buttons. And then if you tap them, they might show you different elements of the painting. They might show you some video of their process, those kind of things. Okay, so because this is scene 1, this is the first thing that they're going to see when they scan your content. All right, this is what's going to come up. There's my card, these two things here. But if I want to get them to look at other things, you create new scenes. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a new scene. Excuse me. I'll leave it called scene 2. And in scene 2, I might put in some other content, right? I might put in another image. I'll just double click. There we go. And I might put in another kind of random image that we've got recently uploaded. Do I have my uploaded? There we go. I don't know. I clicked on something. Let's see what it was. I'm using it. Okay. So that's going to be that image. It's going to appear on, there we go. It's going to appear on the scene here. I find the mouse is just a little bit out for some reason. Where's my mouse pointer? It's like my mouse is kind of just a little bit down. This is probably because I got too many things running. Anyway, so that's going to appear there as well. Okay, and it's going to appear on scene 2. So think of scene 2 could be, a different folio. You can have a photo album. Okay, so we could say this is my creative process. Anyway, I'll go back to scene 1, the first thing we see. So now what we can do is we can actually add buttons here, and we can add labels to those. So I'm going to add a button, and on this button here, I'll put the button down here in the corner, and I might say this button is, I don't know, my creative process. Okay, so now we have that as a button. So I'm going to move that over here. Just looking at the time. Ooh, we can do it. All right, I'll move that over there. And now what I'm going to do is with this button, I'm going to say what this button does, okay? So as we scroll down here, I'm going to say actions. What do we want to happen with this button? So when I tap on the button, I'm going to go to scene 2. Okay, so now when this appears on their business card or your business card, they're going to see this button. And if they tap on the button, it's going to take them to another scene which they can see. In this case, it's going to go to scene 2, which is our creative process that we have here. It's just a picture, right? Now, of course, you need to give them a way to kind of come back to that home page, right? So I'll go into button. I'll add another button here. But with this button, I might just say home. And then I'm going to go into my actions, and I'm going to say go to scene and go back to scene 1. Okay, so now they're not trapped on this page forever. Okay, there we go there. So that is pretty basic, right? But that's where we're going so far. This is my business card. So what's going to happen is when I scan this business card, these things are going to appear in that space because I'm going to use my phone. It's going to appear on the screen on my phone. I'll be behind it, but it'll kind of be like it's in that space. I can walk around, I can move, and I can interact with that business card. I can tap on those things and I can see things happen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to preview it. And you can do that right away. So again, if you're practicing this at home, you can preview it. You don't need to actually have a printer to print this out. You can actually track it right on your screen as well, which is what I'm going to do now. So once you're happy with it, you can print it out and see how it goes, but you can do a quick preview on your computer screen. It's not as good on the computer screen because it's hard to obviously pick the computer up and move it around and have that interactivity, but it should be enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch across here. I'll bring my phone up in a second. All right, so we'll just kind of get that in a move. All right, so I'm going to bring my phone back on the screen so you can see it. Excuse me. Alright, I'm just going to bring this QR code back up. If I don't use my screen mirroring for too long, it kind of disappears. So let me just head across back to my camera. Open that up. Cool. Alright, so let's go back. Where's my desktop? There it is. Okay, so let's head back here. Now, I'll just bring up my screen in a sec so you can see how this works. I'm looking at time. I'm doing okay for time. Okay, so we'll go there. And we should hopefully have my phone back on the screen. Okay, there's my phone. You can see it moving across there. Excellent. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Zap AR, and I'm going to use that preview. Where did that preview window go? I must have closed it. All right, we'll just go to preview, and I'm going to open up the program. I'm just going to scan this image, and we'll see how this works. Okay, so yeah, this is kind of tricky with two screens at once, but hopefully we'll be okay. Okay, so it's saying scanning, so I'm just going to put it over here. There we go. So it unlocked it. So you saw how quick it scanned it because of that barcode I had there. So it's just going to scan that content. It's going to unlock it, and there we go. So again, it's hard to see on my screen, but let's just say I printed that off. I'll move this so you can see it a bit more. It's a bit tricky because I've got screen on screen on, so it's got my screen happening. There we go. So you can see now, as I move my phone around, you can see that content which I've placed on there moves with it as well. So hi there, Daniel here from the future. I'm just going to cut this real quickly and show you the printout I did. I'll talk about it. You'll see it at the end of the video. I said I'm going to do a printout, but I'm going to also show that just here as well because I think it makes more sense to see it now than to see it at the end of the session so you can see how it works. So I'm going to show you the final product if I actually print it on paper right now. You're going to see that, and then we'll jump back into seeing it in the digital form. Okay, bye, says Daniel from the future. Okay, hello, I'm back, as I promised I would be. You don't get a break. All right, so what I've done is I've just gone and printed my amazing business card that we designed before, just on a bit of paper, and you can see my little code is still there as well. And like I was saying in our little video then, is what I like about AR is it's tangible, right? Like I can still have this card, I can pick it up, I can move it around, but I'm going to have that content that we created kind of appear over this, but I still get to hold it, right? Like I think, especially I guess in in the art field, tangibility, being able to hold stuff, being able to see stuff, being able to move stuff, I think is really important. Virtual reality is very, very cool, but you've got that headset on and you're not there. So I do like the fact with AR is you can have it part of that physical world. So this is just a bit of paper, like we said, for our business card, our little kind of example we're doing today. But it doesn't have to be this bit of paper, okay? Your QR code could be on a vase that your students have created. It could be, let me use a painting analogy, like it could be a painting. It could be anything, all right? It is just a way to track that and place it in the world, okay? So again, don't just think about AR being flat, okay? A student could create something, and part of that is this little animation that appears at a certain part of that work. You can be kind of in the corner as well. So again, I just want your head to kind of go a little bit crazy. But anyway, here's my bit of paper. Now, I'm going to make this work with the paper. Now, the difference here is I'm going to actually publish this now. This is going to be available to the world. So if you happen to get my amazing business card here, you should be able to scan it. So let me head back to the phone. I might just have to kind of reconnect. So let me just go, I might be connected. No, so I'm just going to quickly reconnect so you can see my phone on the screen. Just going to scan that QR code. Here we go. Excuse me. And hopefully you'll see this working in reality. So the difference, like I said, between publish and preview. Preview, that should be there. Preview really is for you just to test out what you're doing. It doesn't publish it. It's not accessible anyway. You're just kind of testing it out. And it only has like a 5-minute window and then it kind of disappears. Okay, so a really good way to kind of test something. When you hit publish, all right, what it actually does is it uploads that content. It's now available for anyone to use and anyone to see as long as they have that tracking image. So no one can see your content unless they have this. But, of course, I could email this to you. You could print it up at home and you could scan it, or you don't even have to print it. You could just scan it at home. So let's go into Zap AR. Again, I'm just using, there we go. So you can see it unlocked it straight away. Now it's downloading that content, and there we go here. So this might make a bit more sense now. So I'm going to pull back a little bit. All right, so now I've picked up, I'm going to go off screen here. So I've picked up my business card. Now watch this. This is where it's very cool, right? If I pull it far away, it's smaller. If I pull it closer together, if I move it closer to my screen, it's bigger. And that's what I really mean about that tracking process. Now I was a bit fast there. I'm going to move it around. So if I tilt it, you can see it tilting, right? If I move it forward, it moves forward. So the same with the phone. If I move the phone around it, it moves around it, right? But if I move, this is hard to do this. I'm going to look at my phone screen. If I move it around it, it goes around it. But if I move that, it's around it. So it is locked to that, right? Like it's anchored to it. So that was what I meant about wherever you place this in relation to that screen is where it appears. There we go. So that is how AR is working. So it's very, very cool. Like I said, so if I mapped that square perfectly, I could have an animation appear across there. It's exactly in the spots where I put it when I was laying it out. So that's appeared there and that's appeared there. Now, again, this works a lot better if you have a physical printed card. So if I had this as a bit of paper and I could move that paper around, you would see this as well. So when I finish here, I'll stop this recording. I'll print this out and then I'll do a little bit more video and I'll show you the final process with a physical bit of paper with this amazing artwork, okay? You can see I can move it around, and if I tap on my creative process, there we go. You can see it's loaded that second scene, okay? There it is there, and again, I can kind of move around that. If I tap on home, it goes back to there as well. So now we have that interactivity. Does that kind of make sense? Again, I've given you quite a bad visual example here, but it kind of works, which is kind of cool. So I'll kind of move that around there. And that's it. So I'll close that down. So again, if I move it away, you can see that content is still there. And I'm going to show you something a bit different. And if I move it back, there you go. It's anchored to that space. Okay. Now I like the fact that it disappears. Now that's a setting. So I'm going to close that down now. I'm going to close my phone. I'll jump back here. All right. So you can see that's where it appeared. Now what happens here? You can see the thing called grab and go. I'm going to turn that off. That means you can scan the content and then you can move it away from that tracking image and you can still see it and interact with it. But I like the idea of that kind of that tangible physical nature where you have to be in front of the thing when you're doing it so you can interact with it. But that's it. That's how AR works, okay? So again, the whole point of this was trying to introduce you to it. Hopefully I gave you some, some things to think about in how you can create this content. But it's as simple as drag and drop. So you have, I guess, a few things to think about. Number one is, what am I going to do with this AR content, okay? So you can do things like there's video, there's images, there's sound, there's text, there's buttons, all right? All these things you can add to your physical object. I'm going to keep using the painting as an example, okay? So let's just say you wanted to make your painting come alive. You wanted it to move. You wanted it to animate. Well, what you would do there is you would have the still image of your painting, okay? You would then come into an animation program, maybe animate that, maybe make it move. And then in here, you would have your painting as the tracker, but you would place that video directly over that painting. So it looks like it's overlaid it. And the second you scan it, it's going to play that video over your painting. It's anchored to it. So it looks like your painting is coming alive. But all it's doing is it's playing that video over the painting. So, that's an option. You can add sound to an artwork. Okay, so say it's a static artwork, but the student wanted you to hear sound. By scanning the painting, so some sound starts playing on your phone. You can add text. You can have photo galleries, a whole bunch of stuff. So hopefully that's some stuff to kind of think about. And of course, when you print these codes out, they can be anywhere. Okay, so I print this tracker out. I could place a tracker in the tech school here. I could place a tracker at the NGV. I could place a tracker anywhere. And when anyone scans that anywhere in the world, all right, that content will appear. It'll match it together. Now, that will only happen, of course, if I hit publish. So in that preview state, it only works just for me. When I hit publish, it means anyone that has that tracking image, so if anyone had that business card anywhere in the world, if they scanned my content, it would appear. Now, again, you've got those two options. They scan it using the app, okay, which I guess is one more step to jump. They've got to have that app, but I find it's a little bit faster. Or they can scan it just using the web by using the web code as well. Now, you can also create new codes here as well. You don't have to stick with one. So I can go down here and I can also create a web AR code too. So I can make it work with both. I can make it work with so you can see down here, I can basically add another tracking image if I want to, or add another tracker and make it work with both. But that's kind of the content you can add. So there you go. So hopefully that was helpful. Again, this whole session was just for you to get an idea of how simple this is to work, right? It's one of those things where you do have to get hands-on with it, and it'll kind of make more sense other than me just talking to you. But I really want you to start thinking about ways that your students could potentially use this to augment their work. And I think that's the key, right? Don't think about this as being a be-all and end-all. Like, you could have augmented reality artworks. Maybe that's part of their folio. But at the moment, I think it's really good just to introduce it as a way to add to the work they're already doing, right? They've already produced this amazing painting. Well, how can you show me how you did it? I might do it in this unique way. Or they may have, I don't know, maybe they have some sculpture. But just having a beautiful kind of soundscape when you want someone to look at your sculpture might change the way they look at it, right? So they can add that as well. And it's just a matter of scanning it. So there you go. So hopefully that is helpful. Like I said, if I can kind of recap really, really quickly, you use a piece of software to do this, okay? There are lots of AR platforms out there, but ZapWorks is what we use, so feel free to try ZapWorks out. It's free to try out. You do need your tracker, okay? Your tracker is the barcode where it anchors it in reality. So if I put my tracker and printed it on a wall, if I walked around that wall, that's where the painting would appear. So you could, again, if we think of our virtual times here, imagine having like a remote art show, right? Like you could have just barcodes all on the wall. You don't actually have the artworks hanging up there. And if a person walks past with their phone, it sees that barcode, instantly that painting is now appearing on the wall. So you could have like virtual art galleries and exhibitions where people have these barcodes, they could be printed anywhere. They can have them at home, they can do whatever, and have that art gallery. So again, that's where your tracker is. The tracker is linked to your AR content. That's what you create. And in this example here, using ZapWorks Designer, it's kind of all 2D, images or sounds, so kind of flat. But if you really wanted to skill up, you could use that studio and actually create 3D animations and stuff like that as well. We haven't gone over that today. And then combining those two together, you scan the barcode, be it through the app or through the web, and boom, your content appears there and you can kind of interact with it as well. So hopefully that's helpful. But again, just go hands-on, have a go, make your business card. I'm going to go print this now. I'm going to come back and create another quick little video with my business card so you can see it working on paper, because I think it's more impressive. And that's it from me. So please have a go, try this out, see how you go with it. And if you have any questions, I will leave a contact for you to feel free to shout out with me. Or of course, contact your local tech school as well. Hopefully there's a tech school near you somewhere. And a lot of tech schools are using AR, and they might be able to run a whole session on this with you and your students as well. Tech schools don't just have to be there for, tech classes. We've had quite a lot of art classes through here as well. So yeah, maybe even contact your local tech school and tell them that you've had to play with AR and you'd really love to learn more and you want your students to learn more, and they can run an AR session for you. Anyone in Bendigo, for instance, we run sessions on AR all the time here too. So that's it from me. So have a great summer school, and I will see you all later. So I'm going to stop this, show you my example, and then I'm going to say goodbye. And I think I've done it right on time. Thanks, Ingrid. All right, bye now. Okay, hello, I'm back, as I promised I would be. You don't get a break. All right, so what I've done is I've just gone and printed my amazing business card that we designed before, just on a bit of paper, and you can see my little code is still there as well. And like I was saying in our little video then, is what I like about AR is it's tangible, right? Like I can still have this card, I can pick it up, I can move it around, but I'm going to have that content that we created kind of appear over this, but I still get to hold it, right? Like I think, especially I guess in the art field, tangibility, being able to hold stuff, being able to see stuff, being able to move stuff, I think is really important. Virtual reality is very, very cool, but you've got that headset on and you're not there. So I do like the fact with AR is you can have it part of that physical world. So this is just a bit of paper, like we said, for our business card, our little kind of example we're doing today. But it doesn't have to be this bit of paper, okay? Your QR code could be on a vase that your students have created. It could be, let me use a painting analogy, like it could be a painting. It could be anything, all right? It is just a way to track that and place it in the world, okay? So again, don't just think about AR being flat, okay? A student could create something, and part of that is this little animation that appears at a certain part of that work. You can be kind of in the corner as well. So again, I just want your head to kind of go a little bit crazy. But anyway, here's my bit of paper. Now, I'm going to make this work with the paper. Now, the difference here is I'm going to actually publish this now. This is going to be available to the world. So if you happen to get my amazing business card here, you should be able to scan it. So let me head back to the phone. I might just have to kind of reconnect. So let me just go, I might be connected. No, so I'm just going to quickly reconnect so you can see my phone on the screen. Just going to scan that QR code. Here we go. Excuse me. And hopefully you'll see this working in reality. So the difference, like I said, between publish and preview. Preview really is for you just to test out what you're doing. It doesn't publish it. It's not accessible anyway. You're just kind of testing it out. And it only has like a 5-minute window, and then it kind of disappears. Okay, so a really good way to kind of test something. When you hit publish, all right, what it actually does is it uploads that content. It's now available for anyone to use and anyone to see, as long as they have that tracking image. So no one can see your content unless they have this. But of course, I could email this to you. You could print it up at home, and you could scan it, or you don't even have to print it. You could just scan it at home. So let's go into Zap AR. Again, I'm just using. There we go. So you can see it unlocked it straight away. Now it's downloading that content, and there we go here. So this might make a bit more sense now. So I'm going to pull back a little bit. All right, so now I've picked up, I'm going to go off screen here. So I've picked up my business card. Now watch this. This is where it's very cool, right? If I pull it far away, it's smaller. If I pull it closer together, if I move it closer to my screen, it's bigger. And that's what I really mean about that tracking process. Now I was a bit fast there. I'm going to move it around. So if I tilt it, you can see it tilting, right? If I move it forward, it moves forward. So the same with the phone. If I move the phone around it, it moves around it, right? But if I move, this is hard to do this. I'm going to look at my phone screen. If I move it around it, it goes around it. But if I move that, it's around it. So it is locked to that, right? Like it's anchored to it. So that was what I meant about wherever you place this in relation to that screen is where it appears. There we go. So that is how AR is working. So it's very, very cool. Like I said, so if I mapped that square perfectly, I could have an animation appear across there. You can do lots of fun stuff. But there you go. So hopefully this has been a fun little, example of AR. This is a super, super basic level, right? Like I just want you to have a play with it. But hopefully you can make your business cards, your AR business cards, or maybe you want to make an animated AR artwork if you want to be so way inclined. You can do that as well. But hopefully this was just enough for you to see how it works. And I really wanted you to kind of see that link of how it creates that kind of augmented experience. Like it is adding to the tangible physical world by adding these little details over it. So there we go. Thank you very much. Hope you have some fun, and I'd love to see some of your AR works. And if you need anything, again, just shoot me an email, and I'll be sure and help you out, or contact your local tech schools. Okay, see you later, everybody. Bye.